Welcome everybody to the Infrastructure and Services Committee meeting. I'm chairing the meeting today in the absence of David Hunt, who is an apology. Welcome to you all, and welcome particularly to Emily from the press from the Times Age. Emily, good to see you here. Emily, as most of you probably are aware, has become a mother recently and is now back reporting. So good to see you, Emily, and I'm sure that we'll see more of you in the future. Okay, any conflicts of interest? No conflicts of interest. Apologies, I'll move David Holmes' apology. Second, all in favour? Thank you. No public forum, no late items. So straight into page 6, Community Facilities Activities Update. Corin.
Thank you, Worship. Chair, good afternoon, councillors. So I'll take the paper as read and I'll just note a couple of points. You'll note on the leased facilities, we talked about the ramp work beginning on 15th of January. That hasn't commenced, but will commence tomorrow. I've just checked. And that's been due to delays with the contractor, but that will get underway. And the other thing, just to note and mention, because we're in the week just coming up to Waitangi Day, just drawing attention to the stuff we're doing around that. We've got the whānau Day, which is happening this Saturday. Tomorrow there is the Wairarapa Treaty Trails engagement, which is an opportunity for people to learn about historical places of importance and build on that, and that's part of an educational approach we're taking around Waitangi Day this year. And next week we will be releasing some videos which are interviews with 8 local Māori, which are about continuing to build on the knowledge and awareness of the treaty and its impact and its place in the Wairarapa. And I'll take any questions.
Okay, any questions for Corin? Councillor Johnson.
Thanks, Corin. Just one question. I noticed that external funding was available for Joro Park for accessibility. I'd be interested to know who that funding was from, but also the question is, we've talked at council about making more of our playgrounds fully accessible. Is that funding available for other opportunities in Masterton as well?
So that came from a request and a conversation with its Trust House, and they spoke to us about wanting to do something in that space, and that led to a grant application around that particular playground and an item going in that playground.
So further to that, is there any central government funding available or through other means perhaps for accessibility or in the area? Do you know of any?
I don't know any off the top of my head, but we can certainly look into that. It'll be interesting to see what the central government's approach in terms of funding that. I mean, obviously it was great with Trust House
awesome.
for their interest and do that. And that's something that we're always interested in terms of who we can have partnerships and funding to support us doing some of that stuff.
Thank you.
Councillor Barry, then Councillor Lennox.
Corin, thank you very much for the report. A question around, you've mentioned that the work has started at the Douglas Football Club. Is there any more work scheduled for that building, or are we finished with the planned works?
So the ramp is the last piece of completing a series of works that's been going on there. So the team are constantly talking with Douglas Villa. There's always requests from the community for the stuff, but in terms of the current pieces of work, that's the last piece. Just checking with you, was it? That's correct.
Councillor Lennox.
Good. Thanks, Corin, for your report. So the coffee cut and the toilets were a positive addition to the skate park this summer, but where is the youth hub? There's been no talk of a new time frame. The community wanted to know. It was all gung-ho and then it's all gone dead again. Can we just have a bit of an update on it, please?
Yep, sure. We've been working with local contractors to build a way of actually getting the youth hub in place within the existing budget. We're very close on that, and that's because of the local contractors that we've been working with, tradies, who are giving both their advice but also time and discounts as well around making that project work. We've got one final piece, which is a funding application in with Trust House. That went in for the November decision, and they held over the decision to February, so that's what we've had the hold up. So we're just waiting on that final piece, which we're hopeful we should get from the Trust House, and then that will enable us to go ahead and do so confidently, because I'm very conscious of the fact that we've got a defined budget and we need to make sure that we can deliver that confidently within that. And I don't want to start the process, and especially in terms of moving the building from the library site that we're talking about using, until we're confident that we can actually do the whole piece of work.
Councillor Johnson.
Yes, sorry, I've got to stand back before too. I just wondered, have you received the condition and energy assessment on the Trust House Recreation Centre?
Not quite yet, but I was...
So I'm in regular contact with the contractor. So far to date we've received the energy audit report, and we've received a draft sort of master plan document to review, which we've reported back on. We are probably within a day or two of receiving the full final package to close out that piece of the project, and then obviously bring it to your attention.
Thank you.
Councillor Bayer.
Thank you. Polyurethane, I believe originally we were due to start work in the middle of January, and I'm getting a lot of people saying, well, it doesn't appear to be too much happening. Where are we at with this?
Cool. So we, so you're right. So originally we were slated down to get started up until the 8th of January, so pretty quick after the break. We had a hold up with the resource consent with Greater Wellington, and we just had to work through that, and that was around a particular like stormwater discharge. We've actually we've got through that. We think we're in place now. We've got agreement around that, and so the clock is ticking on that consent being granted, and that should be in the next 10 days. And then as soon as we've got that, we're moving into basically establishing with the contractor. So the contractor's ready to go. We had a productive conversation last night with the safety group. That also surfaced some things for us to think about in terms of how we do the project, and in particular how we deliver that project within a working aerodrome, and make sure that we've got all that safety stuff right. So I feel really pleased after that conversation. So we should start to see movement over the next couple of weeks.
Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Corin, I forgot to mention earlier. Are we able to have the Youth Hub project and the Douglas Villa project on your projects and facilities chart, just with those milestones and the risks, so we can...
Zoom in at the back of this,
this
report?
Yeah, just so they're included.
Yeah, so Douglas Villa, absolutely, and either here or in projects one for the Youth Hub, we'll work out the best way to do that for consistency, just because it's sitting within the project statement.
Yeah, cool, thank you.
Any further questions for Corin? If not, somebody prepared to move the recommendation on page 5, which is that we receive the report. Moved by Councillor Bayer, seconded by Councillor Johnson. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. We now move to page 14 for the regulatory services update. And Terry, over to you. You may take the lectern.
Kia ora. So I'll take the report as read. I'll just highlight for you that the building activity has remained reasonably steady. There was a slight increase in November for the applications, but that was just to be expected with the statutory close down period over the Christmas period. Submissions for the district plan closed on the 19th of December. Total applications received were 241. There are expected to be some late submissions come in, but overall really pleased with the result. Animal and bylaws, the service requests are remaining steady for the first 6 months in both areas. Compared to last year, the I also just want to highlight that service requests, the majority of them are addressed by staff as well. So all of those service requests, staff need to attend to them, and often it takes more than one action to get them completed. And then environmental health, staff carrying out their checks and inspections, they're up compared to the last 2 years, so total 255 compared to 198, 193 the previous years. And also just highlighting that we're really pleased to see that there was 5 new food businesses verified this month as well, so that's exciting for our community.
Hello, Terry, you've got questions. Councillor Johnson first, Councillor.
Hi, thanks, Derek. Just a couple of questions. One, the buildings that aren't displaying the EPB notices, I understand there's 22 of them. Is there a penalty for that, or what happens next?
Okay, I'll hand over to Shane for that.
Yeah, there is a penalty. So we're just trying to actively work with the building owners first. We've sent them a reminder and a notice, reminder that they need to display the notice. We're going to follow up again with them this month, and if not, then we can issue an infringement for not displaying it.
And what's the infringement? Is it like a fine or something?
It's a fine.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I have just another question, if that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you too. The next one is, on page 20, it's noted about a possible bylaws change with regards to car vehicle dealerships parking unregistered and unwarranted cars in residential spaces. Just for the record, I fully support that, because I know it's frustration for the parking wardens, but also for the residents, particularly in Dixon Street. So if that comes to council, I'm pretty sure there'd be support for that. And the other thing is, if you could give us an update on the animal shelter.
Sure. Phil, do you want to answer that as the project manager?
Certainly, so Council, I was going to touch on that through the project section of the infrastructure. However,
Oh, we can wait a minute.
you might write an answer now if you prefer.
Yeah, no, don't care.
No, that's for now.
That's it. So at this point, we've had some complexities around finalising the design for cages. We've had a design now come through to us from an Australian company to provide modular dog cages. So we have to apply a building consent and design, so the building animal shelter will just be not a shell, but there'll be a space for the modules to be slot into. Just finalising those aspects of the contract. Hoping to have it finalised very, very shortly.
And do they incorporate the crush cage design?
So those are part of the elements as well. So the modules have different sizes, they have drainage built in, they have partitions, they have crush cages designed. So we pick and choose the modules, get Terry to see those designs.
Great. And my next question following on from there, once the design is finalised, when are you hoping to get cracking?
As soon as we have the building consent issued, we will commence. Get the building consent issued as soon as we possibly can.
Next couple of months?
Shortly than that, I would hope, next few weeks, I would hope.
Great. Thank you.
Just to follow on that, Bill, can I ask, are we still discussing the situation with Carlton District Council regarding them being part of this?
I've had no discussions, I'm not sure.
That has been a discussion at senior level. The door is always open to Carlton in South America if they want to share some business.
So that discussion is still ongoing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just on that.
Yes, Councillor Leonard.
Yeah, Phil, I'm just wondering, from your understanding, are we still within budget? Animal shelter?
Yes. Pending the final prices on the modulars and the exchange rate in Australia, yes.
There is nothing out
Yes, absolutely.
Councillor Nelson?
Thanks, Gary. With the earthquake prone buildings, I understand the new government's looking at new standards, is that correct? And if so, does council have any indication what those standards might be?
We're aware that there's an intention to review it by 2027, but not aware of anything else before that date. Yeah.
So by 2000, so after all the stuff's happening?
Yeah. And the only discussion that we've heard is potentially following some of the cities overseas where literally they just display the notice and you enter at your own risk, so different way of dealing with it.
Yeah, Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, I see you've got that funding from DIA for D6 menacing dogs. Is that actively pursued with the ones we know exist?
Yes, yes, so we follow up with them as well. So if they choose not to take our funding, some people get their dogs neutered a different way, like they just go ahead and do it. But we do get them, we do offer that funding for them, particularly if there is a delay after that 1 month that the dog has been classed as menacing.
I'm just curious about how many would have taken up that funding offer? How often is it a financial consideration?
So this money was given to us, I think it was in about 2020, and that was for about $40,000, and so that money was set aside ring-fenced because it was given to us by DAA, and so we're still using that funding. We were 7th in New Zealand initially, but of course there's larger places like Auckland and Rotorua that have more menacing dogs, but we did have a really good uptake of it. We've only got a few that are outstanding.
Councillor Leonard and Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, I just noted in there the work that's been done on unregistered dogs and menacing dogs, and it seems to be up from previous years. So I just want to compliment your team on that, if I can, even though it's question time. But my question is...
No, it's question and discussion.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I'll compliment your team, and I really encourage them to continue that, because I think we need to send a clear message to those people who are not following the rules, that there is consequence. Secondly, the wind farm, the Meridian wind farm, are we involved in that decision? I see we've received a number of submissions.
Kia ora, Councillor. That application is actually being processed by the 4 councils, Greater Wellington, Manawatu Horizons, Taurua District Council and ourselves. But the portion that is within the Masterton District is actually 6 of 13. And that application is actually being direct referred to the Environment Court to hear that. So at this stage, we have hired a lawyer, or we've been given a lawyer to do our assessment of the summary of submissions in terms of that, and that lawyer will represent us in court, in the Environment Court in September.
And the Environment Court will make the decision?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Johnson.
Terry, just one question, for clarification, you mentioned there were 241 submissions for the district plan. Is that, because it's district plan, is that Wairaka-wide or Masterton?
I heard a question.
Okay, right. Councillor Johnson. It's the 3 council altogether. We actually received 287. A portion of that, about 30 of that, is incomplete and half completed. So we have gone back to them to ask them if they want to complete it or to send further information. In that total is we're still expecting some late submissions, but there hasn't been any that we. When the joint committee meets in March, they will determine whether those late submissions are accepted or not.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Bayer?
It's a question or a question. Under earthquake-prone buildings, obviously there's going to be some issues going forward. Is it possible that we map where these buildings are so that we can actually visualise some of this for our future thoughts around?
So there is actually they are on a register, so MV hold a national register, and if you go onto that register you can drill right down into Masterton and they actually see where all the buildings are.
Yeah, that's excellent here. But can we actually have it installed in our own library?
Yeah, we could do.
Just that earthquake strengthening one interests me a wee bit in that when you talk about you're going to talk to the people and to assess the number of buildings that may not be remediated. The buildings that aren't remediated, do they then become our property?
No. And we don't want them. It's kind of really unknown at this stage. I mean, it kind of sets the expectation that when the due date comes up, something will be done with the building. And I think central government kind of has this kind of view that local government will do something about it, but it's really a void. Basically, the Building Act says they shouldn't be used if they are dangerous. That's where it leaves it. If the owner does nothing, we could decide to take action if we want, but it is our own cost if we do that. We can put a lien against the land, but of course it's only when they sell the property that we'd ever get our money back off it. The easiest thing would be to hoard the building. That is the quickest, easiest solution. That just keeps everybody out. But obviously if we decided to demolish or do anything like that, the costs start exploding away very quickly. What we have done is actually surveyed up and down the country all the other councils that are affected, which is many. Most of them have said we're just watching to see what everybody else is doing. That's not really a good position. But Wellington's been quite active, Wellington City Council. So they're actually partnered with MB and they're doing a pilot down there. And kind of on their modelling, if there's no early engagement with owners, they think of the buildings that are non-compliant, only 10% of them will get compliance by the time they need to. But if there's intervention, as I've shown with the modelling in MB, that can be as high as 70%. So they're only doing this trial with Wellington at the moment, but it definitely shows good results if there's that early engagement with the building owners. So we're kind of trying to stay in touch with them, and they're doing a guidance document for enforcement and the approach on the buildings, and they've agreed that they'll give us a copy once they've got that approved. So you're just kind of watching that space.
So the potential is this will get quite messy.
Yep. Could do. Yep.
Okay, Councillor Lennon.
Just on what Mayor Campbell was speaking to, I have actually, for nearly all infrastructure meetings since we became elected members, asked for a bit more detail around plan and how we are planning on dealing with these buildings, and sort of each infrastructure meeting goes by and we still have no plan. So now as the end date gets nearer and nearer, we're still no sort of wiser as to how we're going to manage that, because obviously the townscape will change dramatically once these buildings have gone. Yeah.
Off the back of the last meeting that I was at with you, we've decided that we will actively go and talk to the building owners, so we're kind of rounding up, I suppose, the ones where we've got no action, and decide, just engage and start talking with them, just to get a feel for what they may or may not do.
Thank you. Any further questions? If there's no further questions, somebody prepared to move the recommendation that we received the report?
Yep.
Moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor Lennox. All in favour, please say aye. Carried. Page 27, the assets and operation update. Phil.
Wish good afternoon, councillors. I'll take the report as read as well. I'd like to highlight a couple of things, if I may. First of all, I'd like to highlight the work that our roading team has been doing. They're still working on repairing damage caused by the cyclones 12 months ago, and there's still a body of work in front of us there to complete, so the team are doing a really good job. Getting on top of that and working their way through it. It's obviously complex and challenging, but they are carried on with it. The second point I'd like to just identify is the work at Coburn Street, which has been obviously forefront of their minds. The physical works there are now complete. We've done all the work that we mentioned earlier, and we have engaged an independent consultant to come through and look at other options going forward. We've met with them, they've been here, they've got a lot of data from us, so we expect to get that reviewed through shortly. We'll give us some little milestone, but a guide for going forward and what else we can do. So, take the report as read. I'm happy to try and answer any questions.
Any questions? Phil? Councillor Good.
Just expand a bit on other options in relation to sewage overflow problems.
Sure. So the company we've engaged have quite a lot of experience in Hastings and doing some work in low-lying areas, looking at what they can do to manage sewer inflows. And part of that is rehabilitating the sewer lines, but part of it is also looking at how stormwater and groundwater is dealt with on a wider basis, especially in very low-lying flat areas. Obviously that's something that they've got experience with and dealing up in the bay. So they're still talking about monitoring the network, looking at flows within the network, They're looking at targeting renewals. They're looking at putting some alternatives in for stormwater disposal as opposed to soak pits. So basically, the gamut of options available to us to explore further. That we have, we probably look at a series of works over a longer period of time to gather information and then to make some good decisions going forward.
I'd be interested to hear anything there, not that we probably haven't discussed it ourselves in the last 20 years, but for instance, private laterals, have they addressed them? What's their, volume per capita per day, that sort of stuff.
So our intention is to get them to actually come and present to the council, where they can show their findings, you can ask them questions. They've got quite a lot of experience in dealing with those things.
When's that?
Well, to be confirmed, we've just got to work through the report, but it will be as soon as we have some findings.
It'll be this month or very early next month, first week of next month.
February or March.
Hope it doesn't rain.
Right, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Nelson and Councillor Lennox.
So, on one of the pages, it talks about the Coburn Street works on page 28, and it says that 12 tanks installed, 7 valves, 1 property being looked at further, but all works now substantially complete. So can I just have clarification on the funding money that we just got from, gratefully from central government, which is to go towards this project, what that money will be used for? Because just one other question, because I also thought we still had some other properties that we needed to look at, perhaps Colombo Road. But I'm just, if you could just clarify.
Absolutely.
We were.
I guess the council. So we are looking wider afield. So the guys, the team have gone in and spoken to people in the wider area, so not just the ones we have identified in the past. The funding that we got through from central government will inform and certainly help fund the extra work that we're looking at now, the review work that we've got the consultants to look at, and then any recommendations that they come up with that we think can be applied to that project, if you like. So we would use that funding to fund additional remediation work. That's the intention at this stage.
Thank you.
Councillor Nelson.
Thank you. Just with the Coburn Street, and when we talk about Coburn Street, we talk about the whole issue, it's not just Coburn Street. There's 20 houses that have been supported, and so thanks Councillor Johnson just for bringing up the other households as well that are obviously being looked at. But we would know who they are, wouldn't we? Because we would have been delivering portaloos for a substantial period of time. So it's not a case of having to investigate, it's a case of going to those houses that were impacted for a substantial period of time. So those families are being, or households being directly contacted.
So those ones, the first cut, if you like, council was we first started by looking at those properties which have been provided with portaloos in the past, and those were the ones we spoke to in this first track. So they my understanding is they will be covered off. Certain people have had portaloos in recent times, and now we're looking at the next stage beyond that.
Okay, so there's many households who have been affected, impacted by this issue, who still haven't been spoken to by council, but they're going to be spoken to by council. Did I hear that correctly?
My understanding is that all the people who have been affected have been spoken to.
Oh,
and now we're looking at the next tier, the next row of houses out of us, removing ourselves out from that area. So my understanding, talking to the utilities team, is that they've spoken to all those properties who've had portaloos in the past. In the recent past, with the obviously been some historical events, running on back a couple of years. And those people have been spoken to and the necessary systems in place, that's my understanding. And now we're talking to people in the wider area as well, knocking on doors.
And just with, spoken about this before, the reflux valves. Now the 7 households that had reflux valves, are they aware of the tank option? Were they given an option, or were they just recommended a reflux valve?
So our engineers, our drainage engineers went and looked at each situation, and they made a recommendation of what they thought should be done for that situation, and that's what's been installed.
Okay, so with that recommendation then, with the so it does mean that those households, when we have another weather event, or even just heavy rain, they will still not have access to the services in their house when the reflux valves being used.
They should be able to use the services in the house, so that the water will still come in, they should still be able to use the systems in the house, that should be okay.
Oh, I thought a reflux valve meant that you didn't have access to anything. It shut down water.
No, just quickly, the reflux valve is on the boundary, just inside the boundary on the sewer line. So the drinking water will still come in.
Yep.
The pipe, say the 150 mil sewer pipe, will be capacity in that pipe. So the water will still fill up your pipe. But all the reflux valve does is stop the sewer water, the water coming from the network onto your property.
Yep.
So you've still got capacity within your pipe. You can still use your water. You can still have a shower and flush the toilet.
So with a reflux valve, you can use your house in a heavy rain event, just as you would always use your house. You can flush the toilet, have a bath, have a shower, use drinking water, all those sorts of
And
things.
certainly use the water. I'm not sure that having bars, I mean, it would depend upon the situation. If it was for a longer period of time, those people might get to the point where they can't flush the toilets.
Yeah.
That may potentially still happen. But the team have looked at those particular situations and believe this is the right solution. The reflux valve doesn't prevent your clean drinking water coming into your property. So you can still rub the tap and have a shower and wash your hands and things. That's still there.
So if you've got a reflux valve on your property, you won't need to put a leak. You should just said all those things can still be
It
used.
should still be used, yes.
That's great news, thank you.
Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Phil, for your report. Just a query around the transport choice and cycleway. So the updated comment here, completion now and whole until further funding can be secure. So are we saying, obviously, government pulled the money, but is that still sitting on the table as an option for future?
I actually think we should have deleted that off the project list.
Altogether?
Councillor, just to fill it.
Okay, that's fine. I was just a bit confused by that. And I just want clarity, because I've had a few queries from the public, that that project didn't actually cost our ratepayers any money to the point that it got to at all.
We spent money on the design, and so there was funds that we put towards that.
Yeah, and
No, it's 100% funded by the government, including design.
So the design, do they fund that already?
All of it, yeah. No rate payment.
awesome, thank you.
Good news.
Councillor
Great
Bogan.
news.
Probably more a question for Kane here. Actually, Kane, under reseals, I see there's quite a bit of work being done on roading it. It's not a question, it's actually a comment. The job, it's a far superior job than what has been done previously. I just would like to acknowledge the work is of a very high standard compared with previous. I think the crew should be congratulated on what they're doing.
Yeah, recently we've changed the bitumen grade, which has, I think, had an effect on, I suppose, previously there's been a lot of tar bleeding. It's not happening now because of that grade change. So what's your notes in there, Councillor?
Councillor Goodwin.
Yeah, just want to clarify those comments about the reflux valve. I gather that your system of waste disposal will be the volume of the pipe between your house and the park. So you'd never get bath and stuff like that. You might be able to, if there's 4 of you using the toilet every 3 hours, you might last 12 hours or even 20.
So what we've done as part of this is we've approached all the people we've installed the systems in, we've given each a care package, if you like, a list of information of what they can and can't do. And if there's any issues, they contact us, we've got cell phone numbers of our team, we will respond rapidly to that. We do actually have a supply of portaloos kept at the City Care Depot in Lebanon, so there's still some locally. But yes, you're right, in essence, the reflex flux valves will give them capacity to keep using the system for a period of time.
Councillor Johnson.
On your work programme, you're still mentioning Three Waters renewal projects, Phil, and we know that Three Waters is kind of changing shape. But I would be interested for the next meeting to have an update of the Better Off funding projects that we did commit to through with government funding, what we've spent to date, what we've honoured and where we're at, just so that we've got an overview of that commitment.
Any further question? No further questions, so please move the report be received. Moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded Councillor Bowen, all in favour?
Aye.
Yes, no. Thank you, and thank you folks. That is the conclusion of our Infrastructure and Services Committee meeting.